Hey everyone! Today I want to show you how you can use VLOOKUP in Microsoft Excel. VLOOKUP is one of the most popular functions in Excel. So what is VLOOKUP and what does it even stand for? VLOOKUP stands for vertical lookup, and it allows you to look up information in a vertical list. So, let's take an example. Let's imagine that you have a customer ID and you want to know the customer's name. So, you have a list with all the IDs, and the customer names. You can look up that ID, and then get the customer's name back. Or, maybe you have two different tables of information, and you want to bring them together. You can use VLOOKUP to join those two separate tables. Today we're going to start by going in depth on how you use VLOOKUP. Here I am in Microsoft Excel now, so, let's get started with a simple example. Here we have a table of customer information. On the left-hand side, I have the customer ID. There are 10 different customers. Then you see the customer's name and then there are the customer's contact numbers. Now over here, on the right, I want to type in a customer ID. So, let's say I type in customer ID number 5. Once I type that in, I want to look up this value in this table, and then, I want to get the customer's name back. So this is just a really simple example. I want to take a moment to talk about how you should organize your data. Over in the lookup table, on the left-hand side, you want to make sure that the value that you're looking up is the leftmost column. So here I'm looking up the customer ID, and over here in this table, the customer ID right now is already in the leftmost column. So, if you have to rearrange your data so the lookup values are over on the left, feel free to do that before using VLOOKUP. You also want to make sure that your lookup column is sorted in ascending order. This helps VLOOKUP make sure that it's finding the right value. So here you see that I have 1 at the top and then it grows down to 10. Also, if let's say, you're looking up different names, you want to make sure it's in alphabetical order, starting with A, down to Z. So, let's say that it's not in ascending order. It's easy to change that. You can go up to the header of your column. You could right-click on that, and then you can go down to sort. And here you could sort A to Z. Also, alternatively, you can also go to the Data tab, up on top, and here you can click on Filter. So here I'll toggle it off and on. And over here I can click on the filter. And here too I could also sort from smallest to largest. Next, you also want to make sure that there's a common field that you can use to make a connection. So over here, I'm looking up the customer ID, and this table also has a customer ID, so when I look up 5, I'll be able to find a match over here. Now I wouldn't want to look up, say, the address of the customer, because this table doesn't have an address, so I wouldn't be able to match on anything. Lastly, it helps, when you do a VLOOKUP to look up on a table instead of the data, it makes it a lot easier, and it'll also help you avoid some errors. So, you might be wondering, how do I turn data into a table? Let's go to this next sheet here, called VLOOKUP Make Table, and I'll show you how you can make a table. So now, this is organized in what looks like a table, but it's not an official Excel table. It's really easy to turn this into a table. Right here, once I have all of the data selected, you can go up to Insert, up here on the top tabs, and here's an option to convert it into a table. I press Table, and here it says, what's your table? And so I've already selected it, so here it identifies all of it, and my table has headers. So I'll make sure to check this box and then click on OK and look at that. I now have a table of information, so that worked exactly how I wanted it to. Now let's go back to the previous sheet. Structuring the data is very important because this ensures that when we run the VLOOKUP, we'll be running it correctly. Next, I want to enter my VLOOKUP function, so over here, for this cell, where I want the name to appear, I'll click in here. And then let's go up to the formula bar and I'm going to click on this FX symbol. Let's click on that. This opens a prompt where we can enter in our function and we want to use VLOOKUP. So right up here, type in VLOOKUP and then click on Go. Right here I see the function, so let's double click on that. This now opens another prompt where I can enter in all of my function arguments. and we're going to walk through these to help you understand what they mean. First, I need to enter a lookup value, and this is bolded here, meaning that it's a required argument that I need to enter. And the lookup value, I want to look up customer ID number 5. So I'm going to click over in this cell F2. That's my lookup value. We're going to look up 5. Right down below. Here I can verify that it's looking up 5. Next, it asks me to enter the table array, and this is where I'm doing the lookup, and over here, I want to look up against this table. So here I'll select the entire table. Since we defined this as a table, here it refers to that table. Now, once again I mentioned that it's a very good practice to turn your table array into a table first, and you might be wondering, why is that? Well, let's say maybe I added another customer. The table would automatically account for that. If instead, I just selected some cells. And if, let's say I added another customer or another row, it wouldn't account for it, and then maybe my VLOOKUP wouldn't work properly. So, it's a good practice to create a table. Now you might also be wondering, instead of creating a table, couldn't I just select all of these columns and then run a VLOOKUP? One downside with that is that you might have content underneath your table. Those might also be included in the VLOOKUP. So once again, as a best practice, create a table, and then you could just search across that table. It tends to avoid errors in the long run. I've now selected my table, and next there's another argument here called the column index number. So right now, I'm looking for the value 5 in this table over here. So, looks over in the first column and it says is there number 5? And here it'll find the number 5. Now this next argument says, well, which column do you then want to return? So, I have selected this table, and it has 3 columns, 1, 2, and 3, and I want to send the name back, and the name is the second column. So right here, I'll enter the number 2. And last, there's something called range lookup. Let's set it to false. We want this to be an exact match. What I mean by that is when it finds customer ID number 5. It'll look in this list, and only if it finds the exact value for number 5, will it return the customer's name. Let's say I sent in customer ID 3.5 or customer ID 11. Well, there is no exact match. So that would return an error. I want this to be an exact match, so once again I'll enter false. Now this all looks good, and down below I can already see the output. It looks like Paris Cookies is customer ID number 5. I'll click on OK, and here I see the exact value I was expecting. Now because I have the VLOOKUP set up, here I can type in another customer ID. So I can type in customer ID number 1, and here I see the associated customer Roomy Fabrics. I could also type in customer ID number 8, and that'll show me the customer associated with number 8. Now we have VLOOKUP working. I hope this tutorial is helpful using the VLOOKUP function. And if you know now how to use VLOOKUP, please give this video a thumbs up. To see more videos like this in the future, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you want to see me cover any other topics on this channel, leave a note down below in the comments. That's where I get a lot of my video ideas from. That's all I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I hope to see you next time.